There's a conversation nobody really wants to have about the Instagram baddie era. Because the moment you bring it up, people assume it's a campaign against them. But that's far from the truth. It's about understanding a dynamic that's quietly shaping modern dating in ways most people don't recognize until it's too late. Imagine being a young, extremely attractive woman in today's social media age. Every photo you post gets hundreds, sometimes thousands of affirmations. Fire emojis, heart eyes, you're perfect, wifey. I'd treat you better. Every day, your phone confirms that you are desired. Not occasionally, constantly. That level of reinforcement doesn't just feel good, it reshapes perception. Not occasionally, constantly. When validation becomes routine, it stops feeling like a privilege and starts feeling like baseline reality. When attention flows toward you effortlessly, you rarely have to initiate. You rarely have to impress first. You rarely have to refine social skill under pressure because the pressure is rarely on you. Men compete. Men carry conversations. Men overextend. Men forgive quickly. And when that pattern repeats long enough, something subtle happens. You stop seeing effort as something mutual. It begins to feel like something owed. Not consciously, not maliciously, just gradually. If every interaction reinforces the idea that you are the center of gravity, you adapt to that reality. You expect pursuit. You expect flexibility. You expect accommodation. And because so many men approach highly attractive women with desire as their primary motive, they tolerate behavior they would never tolerate elsewhere. They laugh at disrespect. They excuse inconsistency. They reward low effort with continued access. Not because they lack intelligence, but because attraction distorts standards. Over time, the environment itself creates the entitlement people later complain about. If 10 men accept lateness without apology, lateness doesn't feel rude. If 10 men continue pursuing after minimal engagement feels sufficient. If 10 men pedestalize you for simply showing up starts to feel like contribution. And when behavior is constantly rewarded, it hardens into identity. This is where the Instagram layer amplifies everything. Social media doesn't just provide attention, it quantifies it. It gives visible proof of desirability. Imagine being a young, extremely attractive woman in today's social media age. Follower counts become silent status markers. Story views become mini power meters. Every post becomes a reminder that options exist. Endless options. And when options feel infinite, selectivity often shifts in the wrong direction. Instead of filtering for character, emotional steadiness, and long-term compatibility, filtering becomes about stimulation. Who excites me most right now? Who chases hardest? Who performs biggest? Who makes me feel most wanted in this moment? Intensity begins to masquerade as value. The man who floods the phone with messages feels invested. The man who spends impulsively feels serious. The man who competes loudly feels passionate. But intensity is often just desire wearing a costume. It feels powerful, but it burns fast. Meanwhile, the emotionally disciplined man behaves differently. He shows interest, but he does not oversell himself. He appreciates beauty, but he does not worship it. He does not compete with strangers in the comment section. He does not prove his worth through extravagance. He evaluates, he observes, he decides. And because he does not perform, he may feel underwhelming. If someone is conditioned to constant spikes of validation, steady interest feels flat. If someone is used to pedestal treatment, balanced interaction feels like reduced effort. If someone equates pursuit with value, calm confidence can feel like indifference. This is where high-quality men quietly exit the picture. Not angrily, not dramatically, just silently. They sense imbalance and move on. And from the outside, it can look confusing. There's still attention, still dates, still invitations. But the caliber of consistency slowly declines. The men who remain are often those motivated by access rather than alignment. They bring excitement, not stability. Chemistry, not structure. Attention, not intention. Short relationships become common. High passion, high friction, turnover. And eventually, a question surfaces. Why doesn't this last? At that point, it's easy to blame men collectively. Easy to assume intimidation. Easy to say, they can't handle me. Sometimes that's true. Some men are insecure. Some are immature. But sometimes the deeper issue is calibration. If your entire dating life has trained you to expect maximum pursuit for minimal reciprocity, healthy dynamics will feel unfamiliar. And unfamiliar often feels wrong before it feels safe. The difficult truth is that beauty opens doors quickly, but it does not teach you how to stay in the room once the novelty fades. Once a man grows accustomed to your appearance, what remains is personality, emotional maturity, cooperation, peace, accountability. If those traits were never sharpened because they were never required, friction begins to surface. This is not about saying attractive women lack depth. Many don't. Many are disciplined, intelligent, and emotionally aware. But when someone's primary advantage has always been external, it becomes easy to overinvest in maintaining that external edge. Gym routines, aesthetics, branding, image control. The discipline is there. It's just directed outward. Internal refinement requires discomfort. It requires self-examination. It requires hearing no without feeling attacked. It requires engaging with someone who is not dazzled by you and choosing to stay curious instead of defensive. And that is the real test. Because the type of man many Instagram baddies eventually want, the grounded, successful, emotionally secure man is rarely impressed by beauty alone. He has seen it. He can access it. Beauty does not destabilize him. What differentiates one woman from another at his level is softness without weakness, confidence without arrogance, beauty paired with peace. If he senses entitlement, he withdraws. If he senses imbalance, he recalibrates. If he senses that he is being evaluated solely on performance, he disengages. Not because he dislikes attractive women, but because he values reciprocity. Eventually, time introduces another variable. Social media is youth amplified. Attention is algorithm sensitive. Trends shift. New faces rise. The validation that once felt infinite begins to require more maintenance. And at that stage, the women who developed depth alongside beauty transition smoothly. Their relationships stabilize. Their standards refine. Their partnerships deepen. The women who relied entirely on validation feel friction. Not because they aren't desirable, but because desirability without relational skill becomes fragile. The hidden cost of being an Instagram archetype isn't loneliness. It's misalignment. It's attracting volume without filtering for vision. It's mistaking being wanted for being valued. And there is a massive difference between the two. Being wanted is easy when you are visually striking. Being valued requires more. If an attractive woman combines beauty with humility, accountability, warmth, conversational intelligence, emotional steadiness, and discernment, she becomes extraordinarily powerful in the dating market. She doesn't just receive attention, she commands respect. She doesn't just attract desire, she secures commitment. But if she depends solely on her looks and the environment keeps rewarding her for doing so, growth can stall. And stalled growth eventually collides with reality. Because in the end, attention is abundant. Alignment is rare. And the women who learn that early don't just win short-term admiration. They build long-term partnerships that don't fade when the camera turns off. So if you're watching this and you recognize pieces of yourself in it, that's not an insult. That's awareness. And awareness is the starting point of transformation. And if you're someone who constantly pedestalizes beauty and then complains about entitlement, the responsibility is also yours. You help create what you reward. Modern dating is not broken. It's miscalibrated. And recalibration begins with honesty. If this perspective gave you something to think about, make sure you subscribe before you leave. We're going to keep breaking down modern dating without bitterness, without fantasy, and without fear. Drop your thoughts in the comments, respectfully, because the conversation matters. And remember, being wanted is common. Being valued is earned. I'll see you in the next one.